So, hello everyone, once again to a meeting of the Madrid Speak to Lead Club. As always, I'm going to silence everyone to avoid background noise, and if you want to speak, just turn on your microphone again and then turn it off again. As you all know, this is a club that belongs to that is affiliated to the Agora Speakers International Foundation, and we have around 160 clubs around the world, although this is an exceptional format because clubs usually meet in a physical way. And I hope that, by the way, once you have enough experience, you may be inclined to start your own club. In fact, in the Madrid club, we already spawned two more clubs, one in Baltimore, USA, and another in Texas, Spanish speaking, which was quite an impressive feat. As I always say, all of our activities are free, but we do require that you take this seriously. I mean, it's not like a social gathering where you, wow, if I can, I go. If I don't, I can't, I don't. Otherwise, it's a waste of time for everyone. So let's get started. Today we have quite a dense meeting, and the first role that we're going to hear from is the timer. So Florina, please tell us about your role.
Hello. For the one who are new here, I will be checking the time you will take in order to prepare your speeches and give us your feedback. I will use these papers with some clocks on the background. This one means that you have enough time, you still have enough time to present your speech. This one means that you should take in consideration of having a final speech. And for this one, it means that you are already out of time, so you should end as quick as possible.
Thank you so much, Florina. Yeah, limited time. That's one of the reasons we do have a timer role, because time in real life is limited. You don't have an infinite amount of time to transmit your message, and you need to develop an inner sense of time. So thank you so much. And now let's hear from our multitasking, multi-role woman of the day, Victoria. Tell us about your role today, or one of your roles today.
Okay, so hello guys. Today I will be your grammarian. So I will be on the lookout for brilliant phrases you use, and I will point it out to you. I will also listen to you, and whether maybe you will make a mistake, and I will help you to avoid it in the future. So I will point it out to you, but mostly I will stress this brilliant things you will say, what I like about your speech from the grammatical point of view. And the world of today to present, I will send you on the chat. It's the word idyllic or idyllic. It depends on the pronunciation. So in a British pronunciation, it will be idyllic. So give me 1 minute, I will paste it for you. And it means something really pleasurable, something, something really pleasurable. So you can say, we have an idyllic weather today, or we live in an idyllic village. So, okay, that's my role. And at the end of the meeting, I will just sum it up for you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Oh, are you finished?
I don't know. Do you have it on your chat or naturally? I can see it. Okay, I will
paste it there. Okay, idyllic. It's good that these meetings convey this kind of association in you. Definitely, our meetings are quite an idyllic experience. And let's move on. We have today 4 prepared speeches. 3 of them are project number 2, and one of them by Shakya is project number 4. The prepared speeches are part of an educational program of 16 projects that take you from, as we say, humble beginnings in public speaking about from the basics like speech structure or just having a prepared speech and getting used to speaking in front of an audience, to the more advanced parts of public speaking, like humorous speaking, using anecdotes, using stories, having charisma on stage. Unfortunately, in this kind of club, in online meetings, we can only go so far in the educational program because there are some projects that need to be done physically. But hopefully, we're soon ending the pandemic situation, so we can resume physical meetings. Before giving the floor to Anastasia, who's going to give us her first prepared speech, I would like to give the floor to Gabriela to explain to us the objectives of Anastasia.
Fortunately, good morning, everybody. Fortunately, I had time to read very quickly, go through the description of my role, and I found out I have to do so many things in order to be a good evaluator, which is something I hope I will be. That's why I asked Anastasia to tell us the title of her speech, which is Anastasia, help me a little. The pleasure of falling? No, the sorry, I forgot.
Power of falling.
The power of falling. So I imagine it's going to be either about the laws of gravity or about the extraordinary amount of experience you get from from the mistakes we make every day. So we're going to see. It's going to be a surprise for all of us. What I have to do is to evaluate her in terms of if it was an appropriate speech from the point of view of rhetorical devices, if it was distributed to members before the presentation, which it was not because it's not a physical meeting, I guess. If it was accurate, what kind of rhetorical devices were identified in the speech, and so many complicated things which I find really difficult for part one, for the level we are at. So,
but Gabriela, which evaluation sheet are you looking at?
I'm looking at this project evaluation card downloaded from the site.
But for which project? Because each project has a different evaluation card.
It's part one, speech development part one. But I do.
But
yes?
that's not project number 2, right?
Anastasia, is it your second project?
I think so. At least it wasn't the agenda, and I was preparing the second project.
Okay, so it means I'm looking at the wrong sheet.
It seems so.
Okay, right. It means we'll have to improvise and just listen to Anastasia and.
No, you can just. I mean, you can just get it. Let me share the screen with you, or with everyone. Well, that's one of the good things of having everything online, that you can get it right here and now. You're going to speaking about the things you like. That is the second project, and at the bottom, you have the evaluation sheet.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Let me paste this in the
Right.
chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because indeed rhetorical devices comes quite a bit further in the educational path. Let me paste the link here.
Right, so that's my role for today. But now we're looking forward to listening to Anastasia, right?
Yep. Thank you so much, Gabriela. And Anastasia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gabriela. Figure skating is one of the most beautiful and difficult sports. But do you know the first trick the young athletes have to learn is how to fall down? It sounds strange, but is it so stupid? Let's recall the last situation in your real life when you failed? What did you feel at that moment? Let me guess. You were disappointed. Your self-confidence decreased. You even gave up. And your brain told you, it's not yours. Don't do it again. Stay where you are. Do the figure skaters have the same feelings? They don't have time for it. They need to get up quickly. And there were a lot of cases in the modern history when the figure skaters fell down in the first round of the Olympic Games, and at the end, they won the gold medal. If the athletes learn how to fall down and get up quickly, why cannot we do it in the real life? I would like to offer you an instruction how to combat with the failures. The first step, we need to plan our journey to the final destination, to our final goal. We need to split our way in different, very small steps. What steps can we do right now? What steps can we do further? What can we influence? Where do we need help? And even if you fell over, it doesn't mean your final destination has changed. It's still there where it was at the beginning. You just need to get up and continue your way. And probably you have already done a step further. That means your way became shorter. The next factor, you need to motivate yourself. You need to work on your self-confidence. And what will help you in this way? You need to surround you with the right people. The people who have already achieved the results in the area where you're working or in other areas. They will help you. They will share their experience with you. And you even can build the teams with other people. Normally, the teams are achieving even greater results than individuals. But the most important factor, we need to work on our skills. The figure skaters, they're practicing their jumps, their tricks, either with Excel or a two-loop, almost every day. They're practicing to avoid failures. We need to do it the same in our real life. We need to gain new knowledge. We need to work on our skills to avoid failures. And at the end, I would like to appeal to you. If you want to win in your life, at first you need to learn how to fail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. Indeed, I do remember how I felt the first time, and yeah, it's a necessary step on the way to success. So let's move on. We'll have first all the speeches, and then so that the evaluators have time to properly think about what they want to say about each of the speakers. And moving on, we'll have our second speech by Yulia Borisov, and she's also doing project number 2. We're not going to repeat the objectives, so I'll give the floor to her directly. Yulia, stage yours.
Thank you, Alexander. Some people run, some people ride bicycles, others play golf. But for me, I love hiking. For me, hiking is like the essence of life. You need to work hard to get what you want. You need to put in effort and time. And however tired you may feel or unsure what step to take next, you keep going. You keep going up because at the end, you're going to reach something amazing. That's why after the lockdown here in Italy, the first weekend, I went hiking. Here am I in the beautiful Dolomiti. Yeah, for me, happiness and freedom looks like this. Walking through nature and breathing fresh, clean air makes me relax and get away from the stress of my work and the big city. It's not a secret that hiking benefits health and makes people physically stronger, but it's also free, so it makes it really cheap. There's something about hiking that when you pass someone, it's like greeting an old friend. Hello, good morning, keep going, you're nearly there. People are so nice when coming up and down the mountains. It's like an unwritten hiking rule that when you pass someone, you're gonna say hi. I learned a lot from hiking, like why we need to protect our environment. I recycle more, I use less, I reuse items to help in any way possible. I learned also to enjoy small luxuries of life. If you reach the peak but you forgot your extra coat, you realize how cold the wind is and how important little things are when they are not there. So yes, I learned to become more prepared and to respect comfortable things. If you can climb a mountain, you can do anything, they say. Well, not technically true, but anyway, this mantra keeps going through my head every time I hike, because reaching the top of the mountain is an impressive physical, mental, and emotional accomplishment. It is also very motivating. It reminds me I can accomplish important things with my life if I dream big and put in hard work. So go climb a mountain. It's idyllic and you're gonna love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julia. Indeed, it's amazing how this lockdown changes our perception of the world. Usually, I would say what you said, but for me nowadays, idyllic is just being able to go outside of these four walls. Going to the sea or
It's
to the
true.
mountain is just a dream now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our third speaker now, and he's not doing the second project. He's doing the second part of the fourth project, and I will be his evaluator. So the roles of the fourth projects are concentrated around speech structure. Shakia did already a speech analysis about structure in a speech some meetings ago. And now he's doing the second part, which is speech delivery. And his goals for this particular project are concentrating on delivering a speech that has a clear structure, that has a clear beginning, that has a clear opening, that has a clear and attention grabbing opening, not just a clear opening, an attention grabbing opening. Let me share with you this specific evaluation sheet so that you can see, although you don't need to do anything about it, it's all on me. But as you can see, the goals are all about structure, opening, body, transitions, clear conclusion, attention grabbing opening, and memorable conclusion. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to you, Shakya.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze. It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's a problem free philosophy. Hakuna Matata. Meeting leader and my dear friends, Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. Hands up if every one of you all have watched the Lion King movie in 1997. Ah, so I see that every one of our fan of this Pumbaa, the character of Pumbaa and Timon. So if you look at those two characters, how they live their lives, they are so simple with, and they don't have any kind of a problem in their lives. But if you look into the Lion King 1.5 movie, you will see that what kind of the other part of their lives, how the Pumbaa and Timon, the life of them, because the Lion King movie it shows about the Simba and it's going around the Simba story. So what I'm going to say, if when we take every one of us our life, we have our own problems. But when it comes to problems, it matters with how we're going to handle it. Alexander, I humbly ask you to unmute yourself in this matter because I need to answer.
I won't be singing.
No, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you to sing. Alexander, just honestly tell me, what will you do? Uh, what will you do when you have a problem? When you face a problem, what's
Solve
the
it.
first thing that you do?
Analyze it. What's going on first? Gather information.
What's the first emotion that you will get it?
Emotion.
Yeah.
Depends on the kind of problem. Usually it's annoyance.
Okay. So most of the people, what we as humans, we get what we having a problem is that whenever we have a problem, we dwell into it. We keep thinking of that same problem again and again and again. It goes like a loop in our head and make us go cuckoo as well. So what happens when we do like dwell into our past, dwell into our problems, is that without knowingly, it makes us uh, to create a negative minded a cloud around ourselves. So when you have a negative cloud around yourself, what happens is that the next thing, even when you get up in the morning in yourself, and you will, when you're surrounded with the negative cloud, in the mindset of that negative cloud, whatever comes in that day, you feel it like this is not working. You everything what you do, you feel like it's pathetic. Like you will get that you are getting to eat the pizza or something like that. Even you get fed up of that thing as well. So uh, therefore, how can we get rid of these things? The main thing is that we have to move on. It's not easy, as I say, like okay, move on from the one problem to another. But how can we move on? In a moving on process, the first thing that we need to do is that we have to acknowledge the fact that the past is past and it's past tense now. We can't do it anything. We have to acknowledge what has happened, and we can't change from that point. We can't go back to the past and like okay, if we have a time machine like that, like in the Back to the Future or car like that, we can go to the past and edit our mistakes. But in the real life, we don't have that kind of machines. So what we can do is we have to learn from the past. We have to acknowledge it. Okay, I have done something wrong in here. But there's a thin layer of that, understanding that and dwelling into it. What most of people are doing is that they are dwelling into that problem, thinking over and over again, I have done this wrong, what can I do right? The next step is that after you're acknowledging this, like you said, Alexander, the second thing is that you have to analyze. Analyze means that you have to think, okay, what you have done wrong. Once you understand what you have done wrong, then you know, okay, the steps that you have taken. The third step is then is that to make a plan whenever you get a this kind of a situation, how you can avoid that, not to fall in that same pit again what you have fallen before as well. So you have to analyze things and then make a plan. This is the way that you have to do it. And then the fourth step is that you make it in an action. So easy. So it's simple as that, but when it comes to put it into practical, it's going to be a little bit hard, because the first step is the hardest one, that is the moving on and acknowledging your step. So my friends, just remember, whenever you get a problem yourself, just sing this song, Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. Over to you, meeting leader.
Thank you so much, Shakya. I was really worried that I had to sing something, but no worries. We'll do it, and then we'll have to kill everyone so that there are no witnesses to my shame. And let's move on to our fourth speaker, Victoria. She'll also be doing project number 2. So, Victoria, floor is yours.
Okay, guys. So, how many of you just think about yourself as an individual that has certain properties that describe you? Do you feel like there is one truth, that there is only one thing that is truth, and that there is a way in the middle, that no, that there are two things, and that there is no middle, there's one true thing, that you should be your true self throughout whole your life, that there is kind of essence in you that stays with you, and that whatever interaction you enter, you have to be your true self, your true essence. If you asked even one of these questions positively, so if you said yes, I'm 100 with 100% confidence, I tell you that you have two fathers. Like one father, you already know him, he is your biological father, and the second father, you can feel like the proud child of Aristotle. Aristotle, he was an ancient Greek on which our Western philosophy is based. Okay, now that you have answered this question, let's go back in time with me 20 years. There is year 2001, and you are the participants of an experiment. You are one of the students among the students from Kyoto University, Japan, and University in Michigan, America. And you are given the pictures from marine life. So what do you see? So in the center, you have like big red fish, big bright red, and she's moving really, really fast. And in the back, you have the small little fishes, greenish, yellowish. You have also plants in the back and small little bubbles with minute bubbles of air. And you are asked to give a description of what you saw. So what turns out that Americans, what said Americans about it? So there was a big bright red fish. It was moving really fast. And what did say Japanese? 60% more often, they were saying there was a red fish and she was moving faster than the other fishes. there was also small bubbles of thin air, and they were paying attention to the background. So what does it tell us? The Japanese were referring to the relationship between the objects and the background, while Americans focusing mainly on this big, bright red fish, which had certain properties. And now you may think, where does it stems from? So the answer is quite simple. There were mainly cultural differences. And now you might think, why cultural differences? Of course, it's a generalization. It works different on an individual level. But what's the goal of your life? So the goal of your life is to be happy. Who wants to be happy in life? So you can raise hand. Okay. And who wants to be fulfilled? Okay. And in order to get to this point, you need some kind of interaction. So you will be interacting with people on some kind of way. And what's really important is to understand to be better communicator, you need to better understand yourself and the people you interact with and the cultures they come from. And the key to do this is to go back and to know better your culture and to read more books, such as Geography on Thought, on which I based my today elaboration. And so, yeah, so go and explore your cultures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. By the way, I just saw the messages in the chat, but it's good that Anna or Anya sent you the link. Usually when I'm leading, I'm just concentrating on I can't pay attention to the chat, but thank you. Let's move on. This was the last speech, the last prepared speech for today. So let's move to the evaluations. And let's hear first from Anastasia's evaluator, Gabriela. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meeting leader. I think it's the third or fourth time I've listened to Anastasia giving speeches since the beginning of, was it April when we first met here? And I have noticed an evolution, a very clear evolution in her qualities as a speaker, in her improvement, I mean. And what I saw today is, to me, I visualized Anastasia in the kitchen cooking a recipe for well-being, because this looked like a very clear description of what you have to do when you fall and how to get over this. So Anastasia, that was impressive. Congratulations on the quality of your rhetorical devices. I would like to mention the questions, the rhetorical questions, and the pauses that you have really mastered, especially in the first part of your speech. And if you want to take it as a recommendation, I would like you to keep that rhythm. I think it slowed down a little bit in the middle. I would have liked more emphasis and more energy. So I think it just a little bit slowed down. Other than that, the pauses were very good, very well placed. Unfortunately, because it's just an online meeting, you didn't use any visual language, but that's excusable. The language that you used was simple, not complicated. You didn't use any jargon that couldn't be followed, and you did blend everything smoothly. It was a very clear speech, and I congratulate you on that again. Thank you. Mr. Meeting Leader, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you,
Madam
Gabriela.
Speech Evaluator. And let's move to our second evaluator of the day, Anna, who's going to evaluate Julia's speech. Anna, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, meeting leader. It's my first time to speak today. Need to practice my voice a bit. So actually, I was supposed to be given a word before Julia's speech to give her some hints, or maybe to everyone some hints. Not hints, but my thoughts how to make speech better. But when we start, we already listened to Julia's speech, and I don't have any comments on what to improve. To evaluate the speech, speech was very nice and very interesting, and it was really about things you like, and I like the topic. Topic was hiking. It was very clear what you want to say from the beginning, and you keep this motivational mood of why should we hiking till the end. You give us benefits that you receive from hiking, and really after this I think you inspires people to go and try to do this for their mental health, for their physical health, for. And what I like the most from your speech, I heard it before, but I like that you come with this um, let's say sentence this time as well. You said that hiking, when you climb on the top of mountain, it reminds you that you can achieve everything in this life, and that's really really true. I agree with this for sure. I also like your pace, the pace that you speak in. It wasn't too fast as I usually speak. It wasn't too slow, not too dramatical. So it was normal speech. And there is a question in evaluation, um, evaluation card. If we thought that speech was natural, for sure it was natural. You were talking from heart, and you were speaking about something that you really experience, and about something that you really experienced. What I enjoyed the most, I think the picture that you shared picture with us. And when someone on stage, everyone liked to look at the background and see what person tried to show us. So it gives us some imagination of what we're talking about. So that was also very good. So no comments what to improve. Maybe I'm not that experienced to improve something in your speech, but from my side, it was a perfectly structured speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Anna. Indeed, usually the evaluators speak before the speakers. My fault. So you're right there. Should have given you the floor before that. By the way, giving unrelated to you now, learning to evaluate other people is also a very important skill in leaders, because one of the things that we usually do is either not give any constructive feedback or turn it into something aggressive. So you need to, or personal. Leaders usually do need to know how to transmit that the other person should improve something without being aggressive or without simply omitting it. So learning to do constructive feedback is an important skill. Now I'm giving the floor to myself to evaluate Shakia's speech. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Meeting Leader. Shakia, I know that, let me try to locate him. Ah, there he is. I know that you want to be a professional speaker, so let me get started. Your speech reminded me of the happy birthday parties where people start singing happy birthday and they look at each other. And the opening was certainly attention grabbing. It was an effective opening. A piece of advice here is you need to determine what kind of public speaker you want to be. Because although singing is attention grabbing, it is also a bit awkward depending on the situation. And that's what reminded me of those parties because everyone feels like, oh, now comes the moment where we have to be singing happy birthday, but 90% of the people don't really want to sing happy birthday, and they just look at each other like, okay, just let's do it, let's get this done as soon as possible and be over with it. It's a bit the same thing. So be careful because singing only works in some particular context, and even if you want to pull that one off, you need to have you need to invest much more energy into it. Maybe even do a complete show. Like since you're singing, then stand up and start dancing with it. Get us the full package, not only like half felt song. I like, by the way, that you have, or that's my feeling, that you have improved a lot in the fluency, and you are much more focused now, because usually what I've seen in past meetings, especially in the beginning, is that you were all over the place. A bit here, a bit there, a bit then. It's like it was like a bumpy road. This, that, this, that. I see that starting to improve, and at a very good pacing, with a very good pacing. So you're much more fluent now. You're much more cohesive, and you're much more focused and controlled. Some other points for improvement: the phone ring got you startled. If you want to, twice, twice, that's a crime. First, as they usually say, first time, distract me once, let's put it that way, shame on you. Distract me twice, shame on me, because the second time wasn't unexpected. But as on a more general note, if you want to be a professional speaker, you can't allow yourself to be startled. You have to think on your feet and improvise and integrate. The most advanced technique that you can learn, that you can practice, is integrating whatever happens into your speech on the go. You don't just, what's going on? Oh, the phone is ringing, so no big deal. You just use that in your speech. See, for example, here's my friend, he's calling. Oh, I'm going to tell you, Hakuna Matata. And then you use that moment to turn off the phone so that it doesn't happen a second time, which was already a crime. By no, you should never allow yourself to be distracted, or to, or at least if you are startled by something, don't show it off. Like, it is the same thing as saying, oh, I'm nervous, oh, this is unexpected. No, the audience doesn't know whether what that was planned. It's like a magic trick or a performance. Actors, when they screw up during a play, they don't stop and say, oh, we screwed up, we should have said this line, but instead we said this other line. No, they continue, and the public doesn't have a clue about whether that was planned or it was natural. So unless you tell us, unless you, with your body language or with your words, that you weren't expecting this to happen, we would just think that it was all planned, and we would say, oh wow, you even had a person prepared to call you. So try to incorporate anything unexpected that happens into your speech on the fly. I like the structure of the rest of the speech, meaning you had 4 steps to problem solving, or 4 attitudes to problem solving. I would have insisted a bit more, because usually when you have this faceted or maybe even chronological approach to something, in your case 4 steps, I would have repeated that several times. Instead, you just said first step is this, first step, second, and you developed each of the steps. But I would have synthesized them at the beginning. So for example, I'm going to give you the secret of how to approach problems and be Hakuna Matata all your life. And it's 4 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you do them, you develop it to the points, and then again you summarize them. So remember, blah, blah, blah. First, second, fourth. About the conclusion, I think it was a bit rushed. The conclusion, it was very nice, by the way, that you tied with the beginning, but I think that time got over you, and you just hurried to wrap it up. But other than that, I see great progress, and I'm looking forward to your next page. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you
Farina,
very much,
I
Alexander.
I use usually my 30 seconds of grace time, always.
Thank you very much, Alexander.
Thank you, Shakya. And now I'm going to give the floor to myself again, because I don't think we have an evaluator for Victoria's speech.
No,
Ah, we do. Sorry. Oh,
I
yeah. Great. Sorry so much. Nirmana,
Come on.
please. Yeah, the stage is yours. Apologies.
I was listening to her like really carefully, taking notes, and now you want to take me the stage.
That's right. Fight back for what's yours.
Okay, so I'll be evaluating Victoria's speech. That's my goal for my today's speech. First of all, I would love to start with saying that her speech was really pleasurable. It was idyllic, right? So she had a speech which was really good constructed. She had like the opening part, she had the body, and she had the conclusion. She had a really nice flow of her speech. The subject of her speech was really clear for me from the first point. She wanted to deliver the difference, like of the perception from people from different cultures, and she really delivered it. For me, what really was like really enjoying is when she was describing the fishes, like saying big fish, like made me picture that big fish over there, and like showing with her fingers the she managed to deliver us, like she managed for me at least to take to imagine that picture that Chinese and Americans were evaluating. So her body language, her gestures, like her movements with the hands were really good. It also showed me that she was really natural. She was speaking in a way like that she was speaking with the friends, which is actually the best way to deliver the speech, because then we believe you. And at least from my point, like I believed you. I believed everything you said. And it really made me interested into culture more and exploring things like that, because that is something that you can, let's say, share with your friends and also like have in everyday communication. The only thing I would love you to improve is the let's say the difference in your voice when you speak. For at least for me, you're a little bit flat. It means like you should have like ups and downs, and also you should engage with some stops. Like when you give stops, then you can like increase the volume of your voice. At least for me, like from my perspective, it would be, let's say, it would help you to deliver a better speech. But overall, I'm really happy how you delivered, how you engaged us, and like how you managed to deliver the topic you wanted to deliver.
Okay.
That
Thank
will
you.
be it.
Can I
Back to
comment
you,
on it?
meeting leader.
Okay, so can I comment on it? It was great. I really learned a lot from what you said. The reason why I haven't made this courses is because I'm usually accustomed to longer periods of time when I explain something to my friends. So it usually takes me 20 minutes, 30 minutes because I like to lecture them on what I read. And it's really hard for me to squeeze this knowledge in just 2 minutes. So that's why I'm so pushing forward to give you the most from this really short speech, because 4 minutes is not much for me. But sometimes, yeah, really, I catch myself on this flat voice. So I will work on it. And I love the structure, how you delivered me this message, feedback. You have really beautiful voice, and it's really clear for me also. And I really like the way you pronounce and use the English language. So thank you, Emana. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Victoria. By the way, something is going wrong again with your microphone.
Yeah, and I was so happy that it worked during the speech.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It seems though like a faulty connection because it's not all the time and it's like a random noise. Anyway, can you? By the way, it would have been useful. I don't know if you have it around, or at least you can type it in the chat. The book that you recommended, Geography of Thought, because one of the things we need to be aware as public speakers is that there are a lot of different cultures, and that something as innocuous as this particular site can be something very offensive in some cultures, or even a thumbs up, or even the victory sign. And indeed, people in different cultures think different, and we have to be aware of that. When, in fact, we have a special project in the educational path about knowing your audience and tailoring the speech to the audience. So you can't really go out there and expect to give the same speech in Japan as it would be in New York, for example. So do you have the reference or the book itself physically to show it to us?
I don't have it with me. I have in my. I would have to walk to my room to bring it. But I will write you the title and the author of the book. I highly recommend other books of him. He's a great guy, a great psychologist, and did so much experiments, yeah, on culture and culture differences. So
Great.
it's really a great read.
Great. Thank you so much, Victoria. And now we move on to a section that is both loved and hated by everyone, and that is going to be hot questions. And Julia has prepared quite a few interesting hot questions. And the goal is, well, I'm not going to say what the goal of the hot questions section is. Instead, I'm going to give the floor to our unwilling, reluctant, defensive hot questions evaluator, who's going to share with us why do we do hot questions at all. Leroy.
Hot question. Each person would have about 1 to 2 minutes to share. This is an impromptu speech. You can take about maybe 3 to 5 seconds, so you don't have to answer the question immediately, but do not take too much time. So 3 to 5 seconds when you get the question, and then you answer. Okay. So I hope you all enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Leroy. You see, you're getting there. You're getting there. You can do it. We do have questions because, by the way, because you have to be able to think on your feet and come up with something decent in social context. And I would tell you that there are a lot of situations where you can be startled with questions that are could be even offensive. I don't want to take too much time on protagonism, but next time when I'm hot questions master, I'll tell you a couple of anecdotes from my own life. Without further ado, the stage is yours, Julian. Let's see who you picked for torturing.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me? Okay. Are you ready for some fun? Maybe yes or not? I can't hear anything. It's okay.
Yes, of course.
We're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
We're ready.
Okay.
Bring
Thank
him
you. Fun will be next Saturday. Today will be something very, very hot, let's say. You know, in most countries, there are some common problems with the education system. And I have 5 questions about this topic, and I would like to get at least 2 answers to each question from 2 different people. And let's say you are the Minister of Education in your country, and you want to create an idyllic system of education. First question, any volunteer? No.
Yes. May I?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Adil, hi.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi. A hard question or a soft question? What you prefer first?
Anything you like. It depends. It depends on you.
A difficult question. Okay.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay. In Romania, I am from Romania. We have 2 majority religions: Christian Orthodox and Christian Catholic. But the younger generation, and not only the younger generation, is becoming less and less religious. What is your opinion? Only the country's majority religion or religions should be studied in schools, or just a history of all religions? You understood?
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Let me see. Okay, religion which we start following from our home. I mean, the religion is taught by our parents, and mainly, I mean, and then we slowly and gradually practice in our lives. I mean, and in schools, we also can teach the religion also, and which can bring some kind of religious element in every human being. What I feel that religion should practice in every stage. I mean, at home also and at school also, so that people should know what their religion is and what they are following, and further also they should relate their religion to other religions also. I mean, they should uh, study about the other religions, that what other religions are saying, and what the difference between other religion and their religion. Oh, it was okay.
Thank you. Another
Okay.
volunteer for the same question, please.
Yes, I would like to volunteer.
Thanks. The same question.
Okay, so as a Minister of Education, I think it will be very interesting so that people will get to know Christianity as it many faces it has, and other religion as well. But apart of everything, we should get to gather together to understand each other. So that's very important. I think that education, we search for the truth, and that means that even though we have differences, we should get along with each other, and that will be effective in respecting other beliefs, but also getting to gather around as individuals.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, please. Volunteer. A soft one, not so hard, not so difficult.
If anyone wants to volunteer, just unmute yourselves, because I don't think anyone watches the hands.
I have raised my hand.
Okay.
Yeah. I will try to answer.
Midhat.
Gigi, Midhat. Yes,
Midhat.
Midhat.
Okay, okay. I was thinking about you're a guy, but sorry for that
No,
confusion.
I'm a girl. Yeah.
Okay. How do you see solving the problem of bullying in schools? Bullying is about all kinds of discrimination, ethnic origin, different forms of disability, weakness, and other things.
Can you please repeat?
How do you see solving the problem of bullying in the schools? Bullying is about all kinds of discrimination, discrimination for ethnic origin, different forms of disability, weakness, and who knows?
Sir, I think to solve this bullying issue, we need to have some open door policies in our schools, as well as in any place. I feel any institution, there should be an open door policy, and the top management or the top teachers, they need to work. They need to look after the fact that everyone is equal and everyone should get the equality and equity rights. For example, if someone is disabled, he or she should get equal rights and should not be bullied, so that should not be bullied and should have that courage to come to that teacher or to come to that particular person who can resolve that issue. And apart from that, it's, resolving bullying issue is a matter that should be handled first at home. People should teach their kids to not bully someone at workplace, at schools, at restaurants or anywhere. Parents should teach their children how to behave ethically, and respect everyone, whether he or she is mentally or physically disabled or not. I think that's enough. That's more than that I can say from my side. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Another one for the same question, please.
Hello.
Well,
Hi, Julian.
who? Okay.
Sorry, I think there's somebody else also.
Yeah, I guess we've got two people.
Zain. Okay.
Yeah, so shall I start?
Let's hear you, Zain.
Okay. Yeah, I agree that bullying is a really big issue that's, being faced in schools. Not just in schools, I believe it's being faced in every aspect of life around the whole world. And I guess the major thing that we can, an initiative that we can do to control bullying is having empathetical teachers. It's a student. Let's talk about the kids that start off from their early childhood. From class 1 to class 5. They all look up to the teachers, and they sort of, use their their thinking develops aligned with what they're thinking. And we need to have some teachers who have a high sense of empathy, so that they can transform, so that they can give that empathy to the students as well, and their thinkings can be aligned towards those things. So I guess that is the first thing that we can do, and explain to the students of what bullying leads to, basically, so that the empathy can be taken advantage of.
Thank you very much. Next one. Another question. I have a hard question now. Who want to answer?
I can go up for it as well.
You want to try another one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's hear you. Last year in Romania, there were about 18,000 minor mothers. What do you think about the introduction of sexual education in schools?
Let's see.
Hard topic.
Yeah. I didn't understand the connection. Like you said, there were 18,000 minor murders, right?
Yes, women younger than 18 years old, which became mothers in last year here in Romania because of the lack of education.
Okay. Well, you see, this is something that I personally believe, can't be controlled directly. One of the things that schools can do is they can have psychological evaluations conducted of each student when they're being inducted. What that will help is that we will build a database of students with different characteristics, and basically the evaluation would tell us about students who have some triggers that can lead to things like that. And then we can sort of make up groups of those students with those same characteristics and sort of give them a weekly or, a bi-monthly class on that topic, just to, let them ease with their triggers and basically help them control those triggers.
Okay, thank you. Another one?
Yes, I'm ready. Salwanaz.
Please.
Yeah. Actually, when we talk about education system, so every point is really important. If you are talking about emotional health, physical health, or even you are talking about spiritual health, so when it comes to sexual education, of course, it is very compulsory. After all, I can even give the example in 2019, one of my friends came across a very severe case, and she was unable to understand that what to do. But what happened that she came across DNC. So the thing is that when it comes to sexual education, first of all, the first thing is that mothers should educate their daughters. firstly, and secondly, that even teachers should give this clear picture to the student, and especially to girls, that there should be seminars, workshops, and especially there should be special conferences, because normally we have got this misconception that if you talk about sex or sexual education, it is something out of boundary and we are going to violate the rules regulation. But no, from my point of view, this might be a biased opinion, but I consider that school or teachers or even seminars and even workshop, this issue or this thing should be highlighted. And I do not think that this is an issue, rather than this is a sensible or important element. Let's talk about psychological point of view. From psychological point of view, when a girl is asking a question from her companion, so companion might give the wrong response. But if a girl or a boy is asking from mother or father, so of course that is the best guideline to give the right approach, or even from the teacher. So teacher should be given this proper education and training first, and then teacher should transfer the same knowledge to the student so that they can easily cope up the problem with the passage of time. So I think this is very important. Thank you.
I thank you, Selma. You're great. Next one, I have two more questions.
Excuse me, one moment, Julian.
Yes.
You have only 2 minutes left for your section. I want to.
Okay. One question, quickly. You want to answer, Florina? Why not?
Okay, I will try.
How do you think corruption in schools can be eliminated? For the other guys who don't know, in Romania we have a scoring system with grades from 1 to an idyllic 10. And the grades can be a source of corruption. How do you think corruption in schools can be eliminated?
Okay, this is quite a hard question because I'm also from Romania and I know quite well the system. To be sincere, I don't know if I can find a proper way to get rid of these things, but maybe with again with education and with teaching these new generations about some social and moral ethics and points of view. I think that maybe it might sound a bit idyllic, but for this part of question you asked me, we must put all our trust in the people and in their, let's say, development. This is
Okay.
I don't know if I can have like a proper way, like I don't know, maybe a specific way to get rid of this problem.
Okay, thank you very much. I have time?
No.
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 Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Julian. By the way, I have to share that Julian was worried that his questions might not be appropriate, and I'm only mentioning it in public because there are no forbidden topics in Agora. I mean, you can ask about religion, you can ask about sex if you want, you can ask about politics. The only thing that is like really out of place in Agora is hate speech or speech promoting or inciting violence. But other than that, you can talk about any subject, or you can ask about any subject. It's a completely different matter, though, whether you will receive an answer or whether you will receive the answer that you were expecting. Great. So we have time, I think. Let's try a small experiment. This is out of the agenda, the place of the usual language improvement games. I'm going to split you in groups.
Alexander.
Yeah.
Alexander. What about the table topics evaluation?
Oh yeah, right. Thank you.
Leroy was so
Completely
smiling.
correct. You're totally right. And I think Leroy is grateful to you that you reminded me of that unbelievable and inexcusable omission. So Leroy, please, the stage is yours.
Shakya, ayoyo. Yanade. Okay. I really I want to thank the hot question master. It was a very interesting topics and mainly confining to your country and open this to quite an international groups of people to interact with issues faced in your country. But I think that those questions are also relevant to our own country, and I think we can identify with those subjects. So I thank you. It was a very interesting the way you lay how you want it to be to go about with your question. So I like to move on to the speakers. Adil Ahmad on religion taught in school. This is very sensitive, as you know, and I like to congratulate Adil for handling this subject in a very cool and very calm way, not becoming emotional about it. Though the concern in Romania is on Christianity, but Adil is able to address this even on his own religious background, very tactfully, talking about home education as well in school, very carefully noting that though religion is taught to help them to understand, but also to understand other religion for a more understanding on others. So I think it's very well done. Thank you, Adil. For Patricia, you are more, you have more body movement, and you get, you smile a lot. Very different from Adil, but you communicated very clearly also the aspect on understanding others. The third speaker is on Midat. Midat is on school bully. Midat is very structured in the way you bring out very clear point by point, though this is a impromptu speech, but you were very clear. Your points are very clearly delivered, and I appreciate that very much. The fourth speaker, Zain Tebo, you answered two questions. I would prefer if that second opportunity is also given to others, rather than you take both of the opportunities. You are more simple in your answer, more simple, and you just give it as how you feel it. So that's not much of things to digest, but you just give it very plainly. So I thank you for that. The second question you asked about the psychology part, the evaluation, weekly and bi-weekly. I don't know how this will play about in addressing the concern, but it's definitely something to look into. The next speaker is Sama. Sama is, okay, time's up. So just give me a few more seconds. Sama, you are very compassionate, very compelling, very passionate. I can see this rhyme very well with you, because you're also very concerned with child marriage and child having babies, and you being probably a mother yourself, very concerned with this. So you speak very authoritatively. However, just one point to improve is speak slower. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Florina, not much, because the line is not clear. Thank you. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leroy. By the way, Florina was only showing you the yellow light. You still have some time to go. Yeah.
Oh.
By the way,
I
Alexander, just think if we have missed that part, I mean, that was a really, really, really good evaluation that Leroy gave, right? I mean, very valued evaluations for every one of them. We have to acknowledge his evaluation. I mean, if we have missed that, every speaker could have must have taken some note of from his evaluation. It was really done, Leroy.
Totally, totally, and I see your point. We should have Leroy as evaluator of hot questions more often. Okay, so we still have some time, and let's have a different section today. I'm going to split you into groups. This is a novel thing. What's that green thing for me? We're still not timing this particular one. Okay, and I'm going to give you a question for debate to each of the groups. You can debate it among yourselves, and the idea is to reach some sort of consensus and have a single speaker, representative of the group, deliver that, let's say, response within 1 minute after you're done. The way you achieve consensus, or the way you, if it is possible, sometimes it's just not possible, in which case your group will have 2 speakers, one for each, let's say, position. What you do in the groups is completely up to you. And I think we can make 4 groups so that, let me see if this works. And I'm going to type in the chat of each of the groups the debate question, and let's see how this turns out. I'm going to let Zoom do the just splitting. Yeah, please go to your group. I think you've received the invitation. So, Anila. Adil, please join your group. Well, he's not here. Okay, so this is group number 1, apparently. Wow, this is working. Impressive. So I'm going to paste the question in the chat to avoid wasting time reading it. And you can debate, let's say, for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you're ready before that, just tell me, drop me a note. As soon as you're finished, please rejoin the original meeting. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so this is not group number 2, apparently. I'm surprised that it works. First time I tried this splitting of groups. Okay, I'm going to paste the question for debate in the chat to avoid wasting time reading it, and then we'll give you 10 to 15 minutes of debate, and then you choose your representatives and rejoin the main group with your conclusion. Where was it?
How can we rejoin? We just leave this room and we will be back to.
Well, that's a good question, actually. Yeah, I think it's like that. Okay, there you go. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yours is the 3rd group. So I was mentioning I'm going to type the debate question in the chat, and you can debate for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you have to choose either 1 or 2 representatives and deliver 1 or 2 conclusions in 1 minute. Sorry. So once you're finished, just rejoin the main group. If something wrong happens, you can always rejoin the meeting. If you exit completely, you can rejoin the meeting using the link. So here's your question. I didn't appreciate you. It's just that you're the last group. So, as I was
Okay.
mentioning to everyone else, I'm going to type the question in the chat. I'm going to paste it in the chat so that don't waste time reading it. You have between 10 and 15 minutes to debate it. And after that, one representative from your group should deliver a unified position, or at most two representatives, up to 1 minute, no more.
Okay.
So once you are done, just rejoin the, you may be done before the end of those 15 minutes. In that case, just rejoin the main meeting. If accidentally you leave the meeting altogether, then just use the meeting link to join again.
Okay.
So let me see. Okay, there's your question. Ta-da!
You allow human cloning in couples that cannot have children, which you allow human cloning for medical reasons. And
Human cloning
where
in
would you
couples that
put
cannot
the
have
clip?
children.
For which medical condition?
To the terrorist, it's not it's not just anyone who can who can torture someone. Uh, yeah, and apart from this, they say it is asking uh, shall we torture the relatives, right? So if the person is a suspect, and even if it is confirmed that the person is the one involved, uh, what's the wrong done by the relatives? It's not them. So I don't think that they should
Not um, yeah, I already lost my thoughts, but I think you got what I want to say, that religion and being moral, it's nothing in common. You can be believer, you can be religious and act like very bad person, kill people and kill animals and do some normal stuff, or you can be agnostic as I am, don't go to church, don't believe in any kind of god, or don't be religious but still act morally and respect other people, respect their rules, respect their rights. That's my thought.
I think it's a brilliant point of view. You're referring much to Sam Harris and this and Jordan Peterson, because they are saying about religion in these terms. So you can act morally and you don't have to be a really religious person, in my opinion, because for some people, religion, they hide behind the religion and they say, oh, I'm Christian, or oh, I'm Muslim. And there are some powerful people which can really manipulate you, and they are naturally believers, but they trigger some things in you that they make you feel in a wrong way, and they make you feel that it's religion, that it's their own goals that they want you to do instead of them, or they want you to believe in false things. So I think it's totally, you can split these two things.
They use religion as an excuse for some immoral acts. So they did something wrong. I don't mean some particular religion, but they did something wrong, and they said, that's my religion, tell me to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is not true. So if we answer like question to question, would someone who doesn't believe in any kind of religion behave in a moral way? For sure. If you're not religion, you can behave in a moral way. It's just the way how you were raised by your parents. It's just the way of your thinking, the way of your education, your not just IQ but also emotional intelligence. How it's, in which level it is, and it has nothing to be with religious. You don't necessarily need to go to church and do some stuff. I have a lot of not friends, but a lot of people in my native city. They are religious. They go to church every day, and after church they get drunk as shit. I'm sorry, but and they do some bad stuff when they're drunk. They hit their wives, and then they go with this wife to the church. And still, we are believers. We are religious, and they come back Easter is the best holiday to celebrate. They get drunk on Easter every time. For whole week they get drunk. They celebrating. And I don't understand it. For me, it's immoral, but they are religious. I am not religious and I don't get drunk and I don't hit anyone. So, and I act morally and I'm not religious. So I think you got my point of view.
Okay,
All
I'd
right.
like to give my point of view on this. Oh, you can start ahead.
Go
Aziz.
ahead.
You can start. Lana, you can start.
It's okay. It's okay. You.
That are actually like don't have any home, that are left without parents, that are left without anybody taking care about them. And I think those kids that are already in this world should be cared by somebody. So I'm more for like adoption of kids, not for like cloning. If there's a couple that cannot have a kids, from my point of view, like it's better to adopt a kid, not to do this cloning.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Alexander, are you a spy?
I'm checking how things are going on and stirring the pot a bit if you are too agreeable on something.
Oh.
Nirmana, I think it's better you start with that point.
Okay.
You put that point first and then
Wild justice. Now, wild justice that you are taking law in your own hands.
It's bad,
So,
you mean?
Exactly. So sometimes it happens that in a wrong practice, you may find the right practice. If we have got a great perception, with the passage of time, we might change our even perception. Like, what is the beauty of night? We are unable to play with our companion or even study or going to institution, but in the night we sleep well. So the beauty of that night is that we sleep well. but in day, actually, we normally enjoy the broad daylight, many activities and several things. So there are several interpretations. What do
Yeah,
you
but
think?
we need an act. We need something.
But probably the revenge is a good example of
Exactly,
of the
revenge.
evil. But even if you punish somebody who killed your family member and something like that, it's bad. Because you cannot justify or you cannot do it by yourself.
Exactly, that's the thing. So in that revenge, there is evil as well as goodness.
I don't think it's goodness.
No, there was like there was no goodness at all. But when the man approached and he killed that lady, so it means that he was wrong at that time because he took law in his own hands. So he was not supposed to kill the lady.
Killing by anyone is not justified that it is good act. Killing is always bad. If somebody does the murder of somebody, he must use the law and the law and judiciary to decide even it was good or it was bad.
I think you're saying murder then.
Let me stir the pot a bit. Imagine you're in Germany in 1939. Would killing Hitler be okay? Or imagine you're in North Korea now, or in Cambodia during the Red Khmer dictatorship. Would killing Kim Jong be justified?
Kindness?
To kill Hitler or to kill him? To kill whom?
Yeah, that was the idea. If it would be justified to kill Hitler or Kim Jong-un, or that would not, because, well, there is justice for that.
Yeah, but it's a man's life, and in this case, it is the same like revenge, probably, or it's a similar way.
Even revenge, some people, I mean, there are movies where it so happens that you can do it in a good way because then you want to show that you've succeeded. You know, you probably was at a one-time low, and revenge as in not by taking somebody's life, but by showing up as somebody who's in a better position than who was before. That can be a way of revenge, but that's benefiting you. And I know that's a very different thinking, I know.
My question was more about before
An
the
act.
Holocaust happened, for example. That would not be revenge because you're not avenging anything. It still has
Okay,
to happen.
sorry. I thought, okay, so are we thinking about this particularly?
If you could avoid the Holocaust by killing Hitler, for example, would be that justified? You're muted, Anastasia.
I have.
Yeah, because it's very difficult to answer that. I don't know if I
know, I'm just stirring the pot here.
Yeah,
because I see you're agreeing too easily.
So I would say that taking a human life is with intent has no excuse, no matter how vile, how dangerous that person is. I just completely disagree with capital punishment or killing in any kind. That's how I would put it. However,
Zain already answered this question. He said just something like, if something act immorally, we shouldn't blame his religion, we should blame the person. Because religion as I said, has nothing to do with a personality. And in any religion, we can find someone very like strange person and someone very, very kind with big heart. I travel a lot over the world, and I live in Thailand, and I have friends from Middle East, from Egypt, and from Emirates, and I know people who follow different religions, and all of them are so big-hearted people. They're so nice, but at the same time, when I follow news and I see that some people do some bad stuff, and they just said they do this bad stuff because they are this religion. They didn't name the name of person. They said some, I don't know, some Indian guy did something bad, or some Christian guy did something bad. They didn't say that this was a person. They focused on the religion. So I think this fake knowledge and or fake idea that religion make person act this or that way, that only comes from use or from environment. But what really true, it's religion doesn't matter if you are a bad person or good. It only matter if you are bad or good person.
Sorry, Anna, I want to ask you something. Where you lived in Thailand? I lived there also 1.5 years.
I lived there for 9 months, and I live in Chiang Mai, very religious city.
Chiang Mai, I know. I was in Koh Phangan.
Yeah, you're in Ireland, but it's out of this topic. So we need to define who will actually be speakers from our group, and I think we all have the same thoughts.
Let me stir the pot a bit before you agree on something. I don't know if you're aware of the Stanford compliance experiments or the prison experiment, meaning that if there is a structure that makes a person do something, he will renege from his moral principles. Like you can turn a good person into a bad person if you give him an authority over him, either by religion or by social construct.
Yeah. So, who will speak from our group?
I have Anna on my screen, and I think she's the best to speak.
Yeah, we can choose Anna or maybe Florina, because she's
Other one.
Okay, thank you, all of you.
So, guys, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, then join in the main section.
If each person's personal characteristics, if we talk about borderline, antisocial, I would go.
Yes.
So, are you ready?
Yes.
More or less?
Anastasia is not here. Anastasia, we miss Anastasia.
Oh, she left? Ah, no,
Yeah.
she has joined the main group, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, let me notify everyone else. So
Those kids, give them the roof ahead, like above their head. the other reason why we are against this because we want to preserve the generic diversity at the Earth. Like it could be caused a problem if there would not be like more and more generic diversity at the Earth. Earth needs changes. Earth needs diversity. Also, like the third reason why we are against it, because cloning would actually be like we are growing people and we don't want to grow people. When it comes to medical reasons, like we are.
Hey, I see a lot of people coming back.
So we're in the right place here, right?
Yeah, you're in the right place. You're in the main group. Well, that experiment worked actually. I've always known that Zoom had this possibility. Actually, in the physical meetings, it's obviously easier. But here, okay, let me stop everyone's session and they should rejoin here.
I need to apologize. I was kicked off at the meeting. That's why I didn't know.
You were kicked off the meeting. It wasn't me, I promise.
I think it was my internet connection, but I'm sure you prepared a very good speech.
Yeah, excuses. Well, that's a neat trick I can pull in meetings. Okay.
So like we have only 1 minute for the speech?
Yep.
Okay.
It's an exercise in synthesis as well. Let's see, 5 seconds till everyone rejoins.
This is a very interesting feature of Zoom, how you can split teams and
Yep. Actually, I was mentioning that this was quite an experiment. I have known about this feature for quite a long time, but I never tried it. We do that very often though in physical meetings, like splitting in groups and then working on a question or maybe on a game. Great. So let's try to keep it short, although with me that's difficult. But who was in the first group? Let me ask in a different way. Who had the question about whether absolute good or evil exists, whether there are some evil acts that are intrinsically evil?
The third group.
Okay, so who's gonna speak from your group?
I don't know.
You don't know?
You do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, can I? May I?
Yeah,
Yes?
sure, without any doubt.
Yeah, thank you. So Salma and well, the other participants came up with a lot of examples, and we had a hot debate on which are the two opposites on each side of the scales. And we reached the conclusion that acts of cruelty, no matter how you look at it, are the opposite of any acts of kindness, because kindness and any act of generosity can only lead to absolutely good things, in the same way cruelty can only lead to negative things. So this is our conclusion, that cruelty and kindness are the two sides of the scales.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we had also this question about human cloning. Okay, can you first please read the question? That doesn't count as your time, and then see what the
I
group
don't
decides.
have them, but I promise.
Okay, I will read it then because I do have them.
I can explain them. Shortly.
let me provide the context by giving the question.
Okay.
So the question was whether human cloning should be legalized or banned, and it was formulated like this: would you allow human cloning in couples that cannot have children? Would you allow human cloning for medical reasons? If yes, where would you put the line exactly? For which medical conditions and diseases? If no, would you let someone close to you die of a disease that could be cured with the appropriate donor? Okay, so what did your group decide?
Okay. So here is the opinion of my group. First of all, we would like to say that we are against human cloning. Why so? First reason is because out there's a lot of kids that are without parents, without anybody to take care about them. So our idea is for those kids to provide a family. Like parents without kids should consider adoption before thinking about cloning. The other reason why we are against it is because we support generic diversity on the earth. It's basic of evolution process, and our earth needs changes. Also, like if we would be cloning, it would be like we are growing people. Same, it means like we don't support cloning for the medical reasons. On the other hand, even if our loved ones would be dying from something, we would not support. Cloning is like growing people, and we want and we support diversity. Look how we all are beautiful. And let's keep that beautifulness, let's keep that diversity on the earth.
Great, thank you, Nirmala. Okay, then we have the question about whether religion can be or is the source of moral. So I'll read the question and let's see who from that group wants to speak out. The question was, is religion the source of moral or is it an obstacle to moral? Can a non-believer have a moral system of values as strong as a believer? Why would someone who doesn't believe in any kind of religion behave in a moral way? What's the incentive? Why, on the other hand, do so many religious people act immorally? So who's gonna speak from that group? No one.
Adil, floor is yours.
Okay, I can speak on this one, but I don't know in which group I am exactly.
You're in the common session now. You have 1 minute to explain what consensus your group reached.
Okay, can you repeat the question? I want to hear it again.
It was the topic that you were debating. I mean,
Okay, exactly.
you should not be improvising an answer to something, but instead transmitting the consensus of your group.
Meeting's almost finished.
Okay. Okay, so I was disconnected in between. That's why I was not able to hear that.
Okay, do we have anyone from that group that wants to speak?
Okay, maybe I can just help Adil. Adil, we just need to present to whole group what we just discussed in our small group about religion. If we agree.
Okay. 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 We just discussed different point of views about religion. I mean, and people personalities in different religion. And what I said that every religion can be always teach about the humanity and the morality of people and to respect others. That's what every religion's point of view, and we have to respect every religion. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Adil.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have the last question about whether torture can be justified. I'll read the question and then let's see who from that group wants to speak. Is torture justifiable? Would you torture someone you suspect knows the details of a major plan of a major terrorist strike? How sure would you need to be that he really possesses that knowledge before torturing him? How big should the terrorist plan be? How far would you be willing to go to prevent, for example, a hypothetical plot involving a nuclear warhead that could decimate a city? Would you extend the torture to the relatives of the suspect, to other people you know that are innocent but somehow could influence the suspect? So who wants to speak?
Well, I will start with a very complicated question, and as we discussed in the group, some of us spoken against the topic, some of spoken for, but as far as the conclusion which our group has reached, that we are on consensus that torture is not justifiable, because torturing is not an act. You cannot torture anyone, while if you want to investigate, you want to know the matter, then you could investigate it with different techniques, and keeping in view all the human rights that cannot be violated during the course of investigation and all. And keeping the context of terrorists, because terrorists, they always do anything, attempt anything, they have support on their back end. If you trigger something on the forward, then the whole chain would trigger, and that would result and last in a very devastating consequences. So that was not acceptable, and you would also not torture their relatives, you would also not torture their families. So that's all we have come, that that is not justifiable. Rather, we try other techniques, we would put them in the trial courts and go on to the matter.
Thank you so much, Sarmat. Thank you everyone for participating in this section. I hope it was interesting. It was a novel experiment. And let's wrap up the meeting. And I'll give the floor to Tamara, who's going to be our listening evaluator. Of course, Tamara, only questions about the common session, not about the group.
Okay, shall I tell about my role or not?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, if we want to influence people, we should understand them, and for this we should listen to them very attentively and actively. And that's why I ask you questions about the information that was said during the meeting, and I hope to have you idyllic answers. So the first question is, who was the protagonist of Nastya's speech, and what was the conclusion of her speech? Who wants to answer? Maybe...
You mean Anastasia's speech?
Yes, Anastasia, yes.
She spoke about like the skater boys at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, figure skater.
Yeah.
And what was the conclusion of her speech? What should we learn?
Like, no matter if we, like, nobody loves to fall, but we all fall, and we should raise up and keep going, because that's the only way to reach our goals.
Yes, we should learn how to fail. Okay. The second question, what kinds of sport were mentioned in Julia's speech? What 3 kinds of sport were mentioned?
Hiking?
Running, cycling, golf, and hiking.
Okay, that's right. What did Julia learn from hiking?
Happiness and freedom.
Achieve the
Happiness.
goal.
That you
What
have to
else?
keep going forward, one step after the other.
Yes. And what
then
else?
you meet people on the way, and you learn to, greet and encourage each other, kind of thing.
Yes. And what about ecology? Yes. Do you remember it?
Recycle and to use less, and how to recycle stuff.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your answers. The next question is, what was Shaka's question about to Alexander? What did he ask Alexander?
Shaka's speech.
Yes. What did Shaka?
It was about problem solving, how we deal with
about
problems.
problem solving and
Yes.
how what you do when you are in a problem.
Yes. What do you do when you have a problem? Yes. What countries did Victoria mention in her speech?
Japan and America?
Yes, that's right. And what 2 questions did she ask? Participants? What 2 questions did she ask? and
How
to
many
raise
of
your
you?
hands.
Okay,
Do you remember?
you stay true to yourself throughout your life, or something like that, isn't it? Was that the question? She said something like, how many of you stay true to what you believe in? Did she begin from?
She asked another two questions too. About happiness or something like that. Do you remember?
How
Who
many?
wants to be happy? And the second question was, who wants to be
Fulfilled.
Yes, that's right. What was the topic of Lilian's hot questions? What were the topics of Lilian's hot questions?
It was about education at schools in Romania. Not in Romania, but in general. Education at schools.
That's right. Thank you for your that you listened to speech very attentively. Thank you very much.
Thank you so.
May I just say, like, from the last time when Gabriela was the teacher, now we were taking care more like what people are saying because we knew somebody will call us up.
Yeah, that's right. That's a go. And I'm particularly thankful to Tamara that she picked me for a question, which never happens usually with other people. I don't know why. I feel like a pariah during these sections. Okay, so let's move on. Let's hear from our grammarian of the day, Victoria. How did we do?
Okay, so I'm really proud of you because I could hear really nice speeches. What I've noticed that you speak really clearly, so I can understand most of you. The grammar is pretty good, but I would correct only the pronunciation in kind of in most cases. This is the point of pronunciation. I loved the idioms and the words you used, especially Leroy. I really enjoyed his speech. It was really diversified. Oh my goodness, I was listening to really advanced words. I really liked how you jumble with it. It's just gorgeous what you do. I also like that you used this word idyllic so many times during our conversation. I was really surprised. Pretty a lot of people were using that. And yes, I will keep it short. I'm really proud of that. You did your best. I really appreciate what you did. And I would work only a little bit on pronunciation.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for your dual role today. And last but not least, let's hear from our excellent timer today, Florina.
Okay, for today's meeting, I have to say that it wasn't idyllic from the part of the timing. We have some criminals, some time criminals, and I will point you. For example, Anastasia, you had 13 seconds, an extra 13 seconds in your prepared speech. Shakya, you had to take 7 extra seconds to finish your speech. Also, Alexander, you had 6 seconds extra speech. Victoria, you had 19 seconds. You needed 19 seconds in order to finish your speech. As regarding for the other part, from the experiment, for example, Nirmana, you needed 16 seconds to finish your speech, and also Sarmad, you needed 22 seconds in order to finish your speech. But all in all, I am proud of you. You managed to take your time properly in order to show your point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Florina. I know your job was anything but idyllic. It was more like nightmarish today, especially with the 1-minute presentations after that. We don't have a meeting evaluator as such, so if anyone wants to share their less than 1-minute feedback on the meeting, If not, then we'll just wrap up. No one?
Just my first time here, so just really enjoyed everything and meeting everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Shona.
I think today we had a lot of interesting questions. So I like this meeting a lot for diversity of questions and importance of all of them.
Yeah, in fact, that's the idea. The idea is that hot questions and debate sections and everything revolving around that kind of structure are not like funny questions, but instead that we try to steer them towards seriousness, not like which superhero you want to be, but rather what you would do if you're such and such politician, for example. Okay, anyone that wants to be volunteer for being meeting leader next meeting, so that person will also chase members for roles. No one.
I can do it.
Yeah. Okay, Anastasia. Long live the next meeting, Madam Meeting Leader. Okay,
Me too.
Too late. Maybe for the one after that. For sure. Okay, so thank you everyone for
sure.
thank you everyone for being here, and have a nice weekend. See you next Saturday. Remember, 8 a.m. UTC. If you don't know what that means, then just ask Google. 8 a.m. UTC in my city, where you replace my city with your actual city.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.